Hello friends, this is the Cryptonian taking a look at Bitcoin. Now I haven't made a video for, well, it's been a few days, and the reason is because pretty much everything that I said in the last video has been relevant up until this time. If you remember the last video, we talked about this area here, this node. Okay, this was the support node that has now been broken. And if you remember, I did say that there was some bearish bias. There's some downside bias to the structure and to the market. We were seeing some weakness come in. Now that being said, our RSI is 20. We've had this push to the downside. We did lose support. We did lose that trend line. So I did remove the trend line. And currently we had an expansion to the downside, okay? And you can see that expansion here with this blue line on the Cryptonian volatility mod. I love this this tool. This tool does a great job in showing you the potential for a move and when that move is over. So like for example, when you see this move back here, it was blue and then it went to yellow and then it crossed over and went from expansion to contraction. And so the same is in effect for this move here to the downside. We crossed over, we actually turned blue here. So we started losing this right around here. And then we went into an S1, okay? And then we had a expansion to the downside. And that expansion can be seen as the light blue background on this tool here. Now we're still blue. So what does that mean? Well, it just means that there's potential impulses coming to the downside. It doesn't mean that it's mandatory. It just means that it's very possible. Like for example, when you go to the upside and you see a when you see a push to the upside and the move is over, you see these spikes into resistance. In the same way, you can see the same thing here. We have a move to the downside and we could have some spikes down into support. Now that being said, we are currently at price support here. We're above the Fibonacci support, which is 24,003 no, excuse me, 24,850. 24,850 is support, and that's because it is price support here and Fibonacci support here. Now, before we before we get excited about buying, we have to understand the structure. And right now, the structure is getting weaker, and it's biased to the downside. That being said, the majority of this move I think is over, and so I think we'll probably see some consolidation sideways here, and even a push possibly up into the 10 moving average here. Now the 10 moving average and the 200 here are at the same area, and there's a lot of confluence. So right now I would say resistance is at 27,300. So if we see a move pushing up here, 27,300 is significant as resistance, and then also 28,400. 28,400 is resistance. Again, the structure favors the bears. We are currently in the woods with the bears. And the golden pocket for the bears, let me move this over a little bit. The golden pocket for the bears is between, let's see, the golden pocket for the bears is between this 28,324 up to 29,200. This is the golden pocket for the bears. So although I do believe we're at a very low RSI, and usually when we see these low RSIs, then we see some type of impulse to the upside, some type of try to the upside, right? Um, but we have to be aware that although we're still in a macro bullish structure right here, here's our last high, and we actually on a closing basis we're making a higher low. So we haven't broken structure yet, but you can see where we had support at the 200 here, and then we had a weak impulse higher, and then now we're back below the 200 here. This is a bearish sign. This is a red flag. This is telling you that price action is getting weaker, and this is telling you that and just this area here alone with all of the selling compared to all of this selling, this is sideways consolidation and a bear flag. This is not a bear flag. This is fear. Okay? Big difference. So although we may see a push to the upside because we're at a low RSI, we're going to be pushing into resistance, and it's going to be favoring the bears. Unless we go up with a lot of strength and we hit that 31,000 area of resistance, the price action favors the downside. The setup on the chart favors the downside. So we need to be aware of that. At this time, long-term investors, this does not favor you. Long-term investors, you want to get the best price because you're probably entering in with larger amounts. For long term, you're holding long term, and the longer the period of time you have in the market, the higher the risk. So short term to mid term, I would say over the next few months, it's risky and it's bearish. So investors, in my opinion, not investment advice, I'm not a licensed financial advisor, but in my opinion, the best thing to do is just wait on the sidelines. Now, if you're a short-term trader, like a day trader or a swing trader, then a short move to the upside, which I do believe that it's possible here to have another short move to the upside, probably up into this resistance area of this price action volume node. Excuse me. And so, although we'll have a push to the upside, and it's very likely, most likely we're going to get rejected here. Okay, and until I see some type of a double bottom and moving up with some kind of a strength here, I'm going to be bearish. I'm going to be biased to the downside. Okay. Current RSI 20, very, very weak. Now, a lot of people think that the RSI is for overbought, oversold conditions, and you buy and sell in those areas. Well, that's not entirely true. Overbought, oversold, maybe. I mean, you could probably interpret it that way. But the RSI, according to the founder and the developer, is actually, excuse me, is actually showing the strength of the asset, underlying asset. It's not supposed to give you overbought, oversold levels, because if you've been in the market, you know anything about RSI can continue in an overbought state if it's very, very bullish and continue up and up and up and up and up, right? And if you think, well, it's overbought, I'm going to sell, take profits, you're missing a huge move, huge profits. You're leaving that on the table. So we need to think about it in terms of being strength and not overbought, oversold. Can it be overbought, oversold on a very local, very brief, uh, you know, time period? Yeah, it can, but not always, because sometimes When it's weak, or excuse me, when it's weak, when it's down in the 20s, it can just continue to grind out the bottom and go lower and lower and lower. It doesn't mean that it has to reverse at all when it's down in these high levels or low levels. So we need to keep that in mind. So that being said, we're at 20, and we do see some type of a bounce usually in this area, but many times it continues lower. Okay. The EMA trend bearish. That's the long-term trend. We're currently under the S2 signal. We did have a B1 and an S1, but that's just because of volatility. Those are short-term signals. Can be long-term signals of long-term trends starting, but um, when it's counter direction, then usually it's volatility. It's a head fake. So that being said, we are currently DMA bearish because we did then reverse back and have the S1. And so again, I talked about the expansion. We're still in the expansion on the daily, and that move was to the downside. So the risk is we could have these impulses down here to the downside, and we could even come down and retest this area of 24,400. Right? Um, is it is it mandatory? No, it doesn't have to happen, but it's possible. We're not in reversal yet. We're waiting for that reversal that will show us that the majority of the move is over, and that we most likely will then start fading up into some type of a push higher. Now, if the push is really weak, we'll probably get rejected by the 200 or the 10 right under this volume node here, and and then roll over. If it's a bit stronger, we'll probably hit the zero point 0.5 fib, 28,300, and then get rejected, right? Or possibly in this area between price point 27,500 and 28,400, something like that, in that area. That's probably where the rejection would occur, right? And at that point, then we're gonna see if when it comes back down, see if it wants to make a double bottom and move up with strength, or if it just wants to roll over and go lower, right? So that being said, volatility is 18, and we've seen that volatility picking up. That shows us that this is a real move. See how it expands to the upside? The difference is here, there was no expansion. Well, we went into an expansion, but it was very, very weak, right? We went into expansion, we were above average, but we really didn't get any height on the move like we see here, right? Okay, so that being said, this distance traveled by this volatility mod shows us that this is a real move to be respected, and that this move most likely will, over time, continue to have downside pressure. Okay. Now, that's pretty much about it. I just wanted to get caught up with you guys. I hope you had a great weekend. Thank you to my subscribers for your subscription, and thank you for watching, being loyal to the channel. And so, in short, more bearish downside potential. The posture is bearish unless we have just some type of a really strong push to the upside, which it could happen, but highly unlikely at this point in time. So that being said, I appreciate your watching. Talking about the altcoins here. Now, one thing that's interesting, and I've said this in the past, is that whenever Bitcoin makes a move and then becomes stagnant, becomes, uh, goes into a low volatility state, then you'll see that the traders get bored, the market participants get bored, and then they go to the altcoins. And one of the altcoins that is kind of a cult classic is Ruin. And Ruin's a big, big, big trader coin. So that being said, you can see Ruin had a push to the upside, right? But we do have a bearish engulfing reversal candle on the daily. So if this closes engulfing bearish, then most likely we will be coming back down. Now, whether it closes or not bearish like that engulfing, eventually we're coming back down because this is the distance above the 200. The 200 is down here, and so I do believe that we'll probably continue to contract and reclaim some of the lower price levels. We currently are still in expansion to the upside, and so on the daily, until this line turns yellow, until this blue line turns yellow and starts rolling over, there is more potential for spikes to the upside, right? excuse me. So we have to be aware of that. But any spikes to the upside, I would fade that. I would short that, in my opinion. Now, that's just my bias on this asset and the chart, right? So just a little information on the side for the short-term traders. Um, of course, these are short-term day trades or swing trades, and same way with Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now at this time, if you're wanting to take any positions capitalizing to a little push to the upside, that's a short-term position, right? Again, I think that there's a very real possibility we'll be going lower. August has been traditionally a very slow month, right? Most likely we won't turn around. Most likely what's going to happen is we're either going to consolidate or we're going to continue to fade down until the end of this year, Q4 or Q1 of next year. I think that's when everything really turns around. Usually in an election year, we see the stock market have a push to the upside because, of course, the politicians, they want everyone to feel like the economy is doing well because they want your vote, right? Anyway, that being said, thank you, friends. Be careful out there. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope that if you were in some positions, I hope that you've taken some profits up here, seeing that there was downside bearish pressure coming in. And if you're a long-term investor, patience is the name of the game right now, because you want to make sure that you're entering in at the lowest price possible. And although we are structurally still bullish, we're getting much weaker, and any push now to the upside is going to be met with a lot of selling pressure, the bears shorting, and bias to the downside. So anyway, that's it, friends, for me. I'm just gonna keep this a short video. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comment section below. If you want me to take a look at a coin or you have any questions about this analysis. But yeah, there you have it. Thanks, friends. We will see you in the next video. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. And to those that have subscribed already, thank you very much. And also, whether you're a subscriber or not, please click like on the video. It helps get my channel out there. It's a new channel, and it helps others find this information, that they can benefit from this information as you do as well. Again, remember, not investment advice. Thanks, friends. See you next time.